Welcome back, students. Full stack web application development using JSP, part number 17 of the video series. So far what we have been able to do is designing the login page. Maybe we've been able to design the login page and complete the register page, including all the validation, each and everything that we had to do. Now validation is also complete and everything is complete. Let me go and check what we did with the login. Alright, so here we have this login. We are doing self post. We are posting to the self page, and this return is doing the magic here. It's not allowing the code to execute if post is happening. That means whenever post happens, right, on post, because once you load the website for the first time, by default get fires, right? HTTP verb get is used. Now after that, once you are using post will happen on the login screen, but we are doing post via AJAX, right? Since we are doing it via AJAX, I want this thing to be executed only. Alright, so that is why I'm using this return here. I don't want anything else to come. If I don't use this return here, alright, so you can clearly see, alright, so it's being cached. I don't know, it's basically being cached. You've seen in the previous video, in case you jumped in directly to this video without watching the previous video, I reckon you going back and checking the previous video, and we defined each and everything in the previous video as well. So now we're calling this function here ac.login, and this is the function that's doing the rest of the job right here. And then we have authorized each and everything as usual, right? You know that what we do, right? And yeah, those who want to recap, so they can revise, but we already learned the authentic the SQL way of authentication and each and everything. So I'll say user dot set query. So I'll just set the query first, select, right, what do you require? So I'll say I require select ID from I have to create so I'll just say select ID. This time I'll do it in a different way. So I'll select ID name. Let me go and check the database for that. So F name, L name. So I will say ID. So select ID F name, L name. Alright, because we're using authentication here. Select ID, first name, last name. Okay, just let me use magic words here. From table students, right? So we have to use it here. From, let's say it's students, terminate this, alright. From students where username is equivalent to single quote, double quotes, plus, user dot get username, right? Is that clear? Absolutely. Okay, so now we have to use and, right? Because we have to match both of them. So I'll say and password is equivalent to single quote, double quote. So I'll say user dot get password. So this is already known to you. Why did I do this? So you'll come to know ID, F name, and L name. Why did I do this? You'll just come to know about that as well. So you need not to worry about these things, right? All right. So now I will say user dot set statement, right? So that is going to be user dot set statement going to be this dot connection dot create statement, and then you can say user dot set result set user dot get statement dot execute query. Takes SQL, so it's user dot get query. So that this is done. So but this thing has to be executed in a try and a catch block. So I'll say catch the SQL exception E, right, and I'll say user dot set message e dot get message, right? And before after setting the message, I will say return false. Alright, and now we have to check it here. So I'll say if result set, which is user dot get result set dot next. If there are some rows, right, next will say that if there are some rows returned by the query. If there is no row, or if there is nothing returned by the query, that means username and password is not found, right? So it's as simple as anything. So I will say if it is done, then return true. If it is not, then return false, right? But before returning true, I want you to do this. So I will say user.set fname, right, and I will say user.get result set dot get string, right? So I will get the string fname, right, and I'll say user.set lname. So I will use lname, user.set user or set id. So we do not have id here. Okay, what we got to do is go to the user model. Alright, so create id, right? So I'll create user id here. First things first, so I'll say private string user id, small, everything is small. Alright, then so I'll right click, insert code, getters and setters. Getters and setters is done. Alright, so I'll say user.set user id, which is user.getResultSet.get int. It's not string, it is get int column label, and index can be both done, so I'll say id. Alright, because id is what we created id as string, right? Yeah, we created id as string, so user id can never be string, it has to be int. So I'll go ahead and change the return type. So I'll say int, and here I will also say int, and then you can clearly see the error is gone here, right? So user.set user id, user.get result set.get int. So now every single thing is done, and we are returning true here. So let me see. Okay, so every single thing is done now. Alright, so let me go. If this dot is authentic, then you go and call authorize, and you pass the same user in authorize. So this authorize is going to accept the same object of the user. So I will say print, or I can say, or we can say user dot set message, just to check, because it's my duty to do unit testing as I progress with this, right? So each and every step has to be tested, so that's what I'm doing. So I'll say user dot get user. We said, why don't we go to users and create full? Did we create any full name? No. So why don't we create this method in here, only getter of public string get full name, right? It's just a method, and this is going to return this dot fname plus a bit of space and plus concatenate with this dot l name. So this is going to do a lot of, yeah, it's already here, so that's what I said, it has to be already there. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I forgot it, right? So we already have this full name, so I'll say user.get full name. Alright, so I'll just say user.get full name, and I will also print a bit of space, and I'll say id, right? I'll say id is equivalent to plus user dot get user ID. So now this authorize is going to just print if everything will not set the message if everything is right. So let us go and test. Please enter valid username. I'll say Fahim Khan. Please enter valid password. So I'll say password, right? So we are getting table fs project of students does not exist. Wow. Students table does not exist. students, it's here. Students. Wow. What an error. Okay, there's a space. Now, can you see this here? Space given. So the space is taken as a character literal. Alright, so let me go ahead. It's going to show invalid username and password. Alright, so now it's not showing anything and it is not going to be printing anything. So I know that nothing is going to be printed because the username and password would never ever match, right? But yeah, first let me handle this authentic, right? So if you're returning false here, you're not setting any message here. So I'll say user dot set message incorrect username or password, right? So this is what we have to do, incorrect username or password. So let me go ahead and say okay, incorrect username or password, but I'm typing correct username and password, right? I'll show you if I do inspect element. But yeah, if you go ahead, you can see that we have to compare, right, an encrypted password. But here what we are doing, we are comparing a clear text password, so which is basically wrong in our case. So we cannot compare that, right? So you can see this save user also, you can say password. You are taking this password right here. All right. Where are we doing check availability? Save user. Okay, and we're using encrypt somewhere. Alright, so we are using this encrypt somewhere, but not here. We know that. But meanwhile, yeah, you're taking clear password, clear text password, and comparing it as that with the encrypted password. So what I will do here to just validate it and just to make sure that we are entering a right password, right? So what I do, I'll go to student login.jsp and I will try and encrypt the password at the time when I'm taking the password. Here I'm taking the password and here I am setting the password. And before setting the password, can I do something like this? AC dot. Okay, where is the encrypt function? I don't know. AC dot. No, encrypt is somewhere else. And that is encrypt. Where did I keep that? Okay, let me find the encrypt function. Okay, so I'll go to includes. So this component register, yeah, this is hash.encrypt. So it's essentials.hash. So that's what we have to do, hash.encrypt, right? Okay, so that's what we have made in the previous class. We have made it. So I'll say hash.encrypt. Now it is all automatically imported essentials.hash, right? So this is what we have to do because we have to compare the. Now we're encrypting the password. Since the database already has encrypted password, right? So we are now comparing the encrypted password here, right? So now let us see. We are not taking the clear text password. Now we are taking the encrypted password. Let's see whether we'll be able to compare the encrypted password. or not. So let me go ahead. Fahim Khan, password, incorrect username and password. So I'll have to see why is it incorrect. KHN, so it's basically KHAN. So I'm typing KHAN. Alright, so let's see now. Alright, so we are getting Fahim Khan and ID is equal to 23. Let me see whether my ID is 23. Yeah, absolutely 23. And I'm getting the same. Fahim Khan ID is equal to 23. Now, in case, because we have to redirect the user and we have to set cookies and whatnot, we have to do many different things in here. You may not be able to use response.send redirect here by no means. For example, if I go to users here, sorry, not the users. Now authorize is working. We have seen that every single thing is coming fine. So now, for example, if I do RESPONSE, response is not available here. We can ask user the response. So, hey user, will you give me the response? So I'll say user.get a response. So we don't have it here, maybe. Oh my good God, maybe it's with config. Alright, C dot, no, because user has nothing. Alright, so let me go ahead and see where is request and response first. Source packages, models, and we have essentials. We have DB essentials. We have validation, we have DB essentials. It does not have, okay, we have config. Okay, config even does not have request and response, and hash even does not have a request and response. So I will say I'll create a new class and let us call this class as SERVLET, servlet essentials. Now we have this class as servlet essential. Delete if you have already configured it in the config file. So it's not in the config file, so I'll show you that. Alright, so we already deleted it from the config file. Don't keep it in the config file. Config will only take configuration. So initially we tried to do that, but yeah, that's not a good option. So we should not do it in the config file. So let's create a servlet essential. So I will say private HTTP servlet request as request request, and I'll say private HTTP servlet response as response. I'll say private. Alright, and I will say what else do we have to say? Cookie maybe. Private HTTP session and whatnot. So let me create getters and setters since multiple inheritance is not available. Well, I do right here. I'll make sure the users is inheriting from DB essentials. Alright, so I'll make sure DB essentials will inherit from servlet essentials, right? So now DB essentials inherits servlet essentials and user inherits from DB essentials. So now it's absolutely fine. So now I can go ahead, but yeah, we need to set it up because it is going to create an exception. For example, if I do user dot get response dot send redirect to, for example, profile dot JSP. So I can do that, maybe, who knows, right? Okay, we know that it is going to throw an exception. I'll throw an IO exception here. And it's called here. So here also I'll have to throw IO exception. Don't worry. Fine, then everything is set and done. So let us start logging in. Okay, incorrect username or password. Username is Fahim Khan. Now you can see you created an exception here. Clear-cut exception. If I go to the console and show you it's 500 internal server error, student login.jsp. You can clearly see this is nothing right, but it is an exception, right? So it's a clear exception caused right here. Logging in, you can see. Why is the exception caused? Because what we are doing, you're not setting you are creating an object of users, that's for sure. You already created an object of user here. Either you go to each and every page. For example, you go to login page and say, for example, I'll go here in the login page, I'll say, hey, user dot set request as request and user dot set response as a response. Either you do this, then you'll have to do it everywhere. If you do it here, you may have to do it everywhere. Now you can see, right? Alright, so let me go and check what is happening in the console. We still have an error right here because user.set request okay, we have to first set and then pass, right? You cannot first call the login method, right, and pass the user object and then set the request and responses. Of no use. You're calling the login and then setting is not going to help you, right? So let me now check. Right, so it's going to work, but yeah, what has happened here, because it has given you the request, right? It has given you the response. It's an AJAX request and response. What is happening? You're doing response.send redirect, right? Because you're using AJAX, it's going to happen without refreshing the page here, right? So I'll tell you how to handle and how to cope with this, but yeah, this is not a good option also here. Alright, because you have to use request and response in maybe every page, so it would be better for us if we just go to config page and do it once rather than doing it several times. It is going to be better if we do it once, right? Alright then, so now if I do the same here, password, right, so now it's working fine. So but we cannot do, since we are using AJAX, we will not be able to do response.send redirect, because response.send redirect will happen. Right now you can clearly see that you're getting a profile page here. This is the profile page, absolutely profile page. Why are we getting it in HTML? Yeah, that you have to answer, and you have yourself to answer that, right? If I go to accounts.js, you can see that you are actually setting text. You're not setting HTML. If I set HTML here, now let's see what are we getting back. If I set HTML, so I'll say fine and password. Now you can see you're getting, without refreshing the page, your response.redirect has worked, but you have not actually refreshed the page, right? You can clearly see you're getting now welcome to the profile page, but you're getting it internally, so this is not what I want, right? So I want it to be refreshed, or I want my page to be changed, right? So there are several ways, and one of the most convenient way and one of the most easiest way is something that I'm going to show you just now. So what this authorize is now going to do, it's not going to send me the redirect, it is going to say let's say about, okay, I will say user dot set message, right, SUCCESS, success, right? So I'll say user dot set message success. Now let us see what are we getting. Okay, so we are getting success. Now I'll go to the JavaScript file, right after doing each and everything here, after trimming the data, I will say, hey, wait a second, if data is equivalent to is the most valid comparison in JavaScript, if it is success, then hey, you mind if you do this document dot location, will you change the document dot location to something, right, like this? What is this? Alright, so you can change, yeah, you can use JavaScript here. Alright, so it's no, so I'll say C dot, alright, get, what's the config object? So you can use it here, C dot, okay, so I'll say config, which is C, and I can say because now it is basically not used here. Alright, so I have to import the config file otherwise. right? So let me first show you that we can do this without even using the config file. So I'll say profile.jsp. This is what you can do, right? So you can use this profile.jsp. Now if it is success, go to profile.jsp, right? If it is not, then show this thing, right? All right. So now let us see that. Okay, please write a valid username, so I'll write Fahim. Please write a valid password, so I'll write pass. Incorrect username or password, so now I write the username and password correct. So now I'm redirected. Now you can clearly see I'm redirected to welcome.jsp, all by using AJAX. This is point number 1. And point number 2 is if you're not returning success from the authorized function, can you do something like this? Alright, so I'll say return, or you can say, I think this is the most sophisticated way of doing it. So let's not waste time in this, right? So let's say it's the most sophisticated way of doing it. But yeah, before I do that, I want to start a session. So I will say user.get request dot get session dot set attribute. I want to set an attribute session, which is of course, right, our session is of course a key and a value pair. So I call this as AUTHSESSION. So this is auth session. So this auth session this time is not going to take an object, right? It is going to take two different things today, right, with a comma separated maybe. So it's going to take comma separated values. Okay, so I will say, hey, that the value that you are going to take is user dot get full name, and then you are going to concatenate comma and a bit of space, right, and you are going to take after comma, you are going to add user dot get user ID, right? So now it is going to be something like this: Fahim Khan, comma 23, right? So this is what we are taking in the session this time, right? No username, so we're not going to take username and password. So that's it what we are set session for, right? So let me go back and say password password and go and log in and check whether the session has started. Application cookies session, so we have the J session being started. Absolutely right, so the session is started, right? Okay, now the session has started. Now what do you want, right? I want to protect all the pages. For example, I want to protect my profile page. Yeah, that is also done. So I'll exactly do the same. So I will say public static is authorized, right? So I'll say it is, the function is authorized, and I will take user, all right, here, all right, public static, let's say about void. So this is a void function, all right. Okay, fine. Now let us check the same. So I will say user dot, the same thing, user dot get request dot get session dot get attribute auth session, right? So this is what we have to test, right? Here what I can do, so I can say something like this: http session is equivalent to user dot get request dot get session. So I will say if session dot get attribute, right, which is going to be my session auth session, right? So if session dot get attribute auth session is equivalent to null. So if it is null, right, what you got to do, user dot get response dot send redirect back to, so I can use it here, because if you have to use configs you can use c dot, but I don't want to use config here, I don't want to confuse you, right? So I'll then show you how to use that configurations after a few times, or maybe after a while. So I'll say index, or maybe what was the page, which is maybe student login dot JSP. Alright, so go to student login dot JSP. Now it is going to create an exception, throw IO exception. That's it. Alright, now so is authorized, okay, is going to check for the session. If it is null, it's going to redirect you back to login.jsp with an ID is equal to 101. Right? Let's say with an ID is equal to 101. Right. Now go to profile.jsp, open scriptlets here, and say account controller dot is authorized user, right? So now let us see. If I go to profile.jsp, I can visit profile.jsp. Now if I delete the session, I'll go to application and delete this session, right, and what will happen, I will be redirected back to the login page with an ID is equal to 101. I don't want this also. Why would you call it again and again and again, right? What I want is something like this. I will call it once. Is it possible to call it once? You'll say, hey, it is going to impact all the pages then, right? Yeah, it is going to impact all the pages, of course. But we can create a solution also there, right? So I can say accounts controller dot is authorized user, so I don't have any problem. Okay, import controller dot accounts controller. Now you can see your redirection. It's going to redirect you back because all the pages are now redirecting. Now it has the redirection loop. All right, we have to create a condition now, which page to check and which page not to check, right? So that is where we have to create any boolean condition right here. So what I do right here, I will go ahead and say okay, so I will go and create an object here. So I'll say private string, or sorry, I'll say private boolean is right is protected page. So right, so I created one property known as is protected page. So I will go downstairs and I'll insert a code, create getters and setters right here. Now is this page being protected? Is this page protected? That's what I want to show. And I'll go before redirection, or before running this redirection right loop here, I want to check, I want to do this only when if user dot get also I'll say user dot get, or rename that redirection. It's not there. Why isn't it? Why isn't that thing come? Why isn't it come? Is what is this? Is boolean? Okay, it has created some problem. Get. Now it has is protected page, so I'll have to say get is protected page. All right, and set is protected page, and initially it is going to be let's not say is protected page. Let me just say protect page is equal to false. So initially this protect page is going to be false. Now we are going to create getters and setters here. Okay, so now it's still not getting get, it's getting is protected page. Is protect page. So I'll just change it manually to get protect page. You also see your computer for this kind of an error because it's automatically not getting a getter, it's getting is a. Right, so please check this error. Alright, so now we can say if user.get protected page, right, we can say is equal to true, and by default it is false. Unless it is true, this is not going to be checked. I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say, right? So now no redirection loop. Now you can say you can access login page and you can also access the profile page without login. Now even if the login has not happened, I'll show you, you can still be able to access this profile page, right? So I'll just delete this session and you're still visiting this profile page. And now what is this? Now what I will do here in this profile page, right, I will say, hey, wait a second. Alright, I will keep it, I will say user dot set protected. What was it? Yes, set protected page. So you can either say user dot set protected page is equal to true. That's it. Now you can see refresh. Why? User dot set protected page is equal to true has to be the first thing. So and user, but it's being tested first, right? And that's the problem again. Yeah, it's being tested first. You are setting this page to true. Yeah, but the only matter of fact is that it's being tested first, right? So that is the problem. Because in config dot in here, what you are doing, you're testing it first, now, and then you're calling config in the page, and then yeah, that's that. It's not going to work like this. All right, it is not going to work like this. Okay, what we are going to do is user.set protected page true. Now if the protected page is true, so can we directly call it in the header after the config page file? Okay, let me call this after the config file in the header, right, because config is itself called in the header. Right, so that is my problem. Right, so what you're doing, you're calling the header first, right, and header has a config. If you're already calling it in the config file, then it's going to create some problems for you. All right. Alright, then what we are going to do here is we still have to include it, right? So this thing doesn't work now. Okay, so now you can use accounts now. We can, instead of using user, we'll use accounts itself, right? So let me just get rid of this. Let me go back to accounts controller, right, and I will create a new function. So let me keep it private and let me create a public static boolean, right, function, the same name. So I will use the same name, right, which I had used earlier, set protected page. Right, so I'll use protected page. Right, so public static boolean protected page. Right, so that's absolutely fine, and I will use this protected page if this protected page is equivalent to true. Right, so know that I don't have to do this. Fine, so that's it. I don't have to do many changes here. So let's not do lots and lots of changes, right? All right. Fine then. So now this is private and this is public, right? So I will say if it is public, so it is going to accept boolean. Let's keep it void. Let's not keep it boolean. It's going to accept boolean is valid, right? So I will say if is valid, right? If it returns true, right? So I am going to call, let's see about, I'm going to call is authorized, and I'm going to pass user. Alright, because I have to pass user here, which I do not have, so I'll have to pass user as well. Right, so then I call is user. Okay, let us see now. Okay, let us see now whether this works. Protect page, true or false. Okay, so we have true and user. So say accounts controller dot protect page. Accounts controller dot protect page takes how many parameters? Okay, so it takes number one, protect page. Accounts controller dot protect page takes true and user. So I'll say true, and I'll pass user as a parameter here. Alright, so I'll now go to config.jsp and delete this. Also in the header, okay, now let's see now if everything works fine. What is the problem now? Non-static method. We created it static here. Public, oh sorry, static. Sorry, my mistake. Right then, so now it's working fine. So let's go back and let us go to profile page.jsp. No, it's not allowing us without logins. I'll say fine. And let's say password. Now the login has happened. We're able to get it easily. What time is it? So we're already past time, so we're able to now do this successfully. Right, for example, now if I have to protect some other page as well, let's say about I have to protect this. Let's say I will create another page that we have to use inshallah in this project. So I'll create another page and call this as profile settings. Right, so this is the page that I'm using, profile settings. So this page is going to use the same settings right here, profile settings page. So now if I have to protect this as well, so I will go to PR profile. So I'll go to profile settings.jsp, and you can see, and now if I have to protect this as well, I will either use EL, so you can use encrypted language, so you can use this as well, but since you have not learned EL, so it's not going to be recommended. So I'll say accounts controller, so don't use EL because you have not learned the expressions language. You have not learned. That's why we're using JSP expressions right here. So I'll say accounts controller dot protect page What do you want? You want to protect this page, then set this true. Alright, and then pass the object. Now I'll go to profile settings. Why is this a problem? What? Why are we printing this? We have to use script letters, not expressions, sorry. Alright, and terminate it. Fine. Now this is profile settings. Now if I go and delete the session, go to application and delete the session, and let's see, we are redirected back to the student login ID is equal to 101. Now let me go back to student login. Right. Alright then. If it is post and this is happening, right, you're returning it back, and if it is not, so I'll say else. Right, so I will use it here. So I'll say else if right ID. So I'll say request request dot get parameter. Alright, so we cannot hard code it. I'm just showing you, and then we'll take it to the function again. Right, is not equivalent to null. Right, and then you got to do this. What do you want to do then? If request dot get parameter ID dot equals 101. Is that 101? Yeah, ID is equal to 101. So I'll go ahead and say, hey, if that equals 101, what you got to do? User dot, right? So I'll say user dot set message. M is capital. Right? So you can say you are not authorized to visit this page. Right? So now let us see. What? User dot set. Where is user already defined in config? Yeah, because we're defining config now. We're using config.jsp only for post, so we may require it post and get both. Now, oh my god, what is wrong here? What is problem? Try without catch, or finally where? I have no idea of an exception. Let me try and see that exception here. Okay, let us read the exception here. I don't know. Something is expected, I don't know. I am not getting this exception. Maybe this is config.jsp exception. No. Okay, fine, nothing is passed student login. So then it's something problematic here. Maybe user is not found. Who knows? What? Okay, I don't want anything. Hey God, I don't want your else as well. Just forget it. It's just giving us a lot. I don't know. Okay, maybe we had an extra brace. Maybe. Let's go one by one. So this is else. Alright, so this is if and this is else. No problem. So else has this. If. No problem. Okay, yeah, maybe that was brace error. Who knows? Yeah, we know that we have to define the user again. So I will again use it here. I'll again use config.jsp here as well. Close down. I want to use it on post, and I want to use this on get as well, right? Fine, then let's see. Login. If I go directly to profile.jsp, I go back and I get the student login.jsp. ID is equal to 101. So why isn't it working? It's user.set message. You're not authorized to visit this page. We're not displaying it somewhere, right? Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, we're not displaying it. Okay. This is TD-ID message TD style here, so I will have to use it like this. So I will say user dot get message back. Okay, right. So now we'll see user dot get message. Oh, we're printing it user dot get message. Post and get. What is the problem? If I use it here, okay. If I use it here, that's working fine. But okay. Let me say return. Yeah, now it's returning. Okay. Fine. So user.set message. Alright, so let's not use this user.set message because it may create problems. Alright, so instead what I will be doing is I will declare a normal variable here. Right, not on post at least. So I will say string message is equal to blank, right? So this message has nothing at all. So I will use this message right here. Alright, so I'll just echo this message as this message has nothing at all. Nothing at all. So now I will say message is equivalent to this, right? You're not authorized to visit this page. Okay, now finally this has worked, right? You're not authorized to visit this page. Now you can say please write a username. I write my username and I write my password. Incorrect username or password, so I write the correct username and password. I'm redirected to my profile page and I can now go to profile settings as well, right? Now, right, so this is the most sophisticated thing that we can do in a very nice manner because we are redoing it, right? We're not calling like in the previous programs we were calling each and everything. You can see, right, we are not making an object of users in every page, right? We're just calling, we're just protecting, we're just passing, and we're trying to reduce and overuse, reuse the code up to the maximum possible extent under us, right? So let me take a look at the time, 53. So we have elongated maybe the duration of classes. Practice hard and be in sync with me. Complete this, right? And I'll see you tomorrow with the next class, inshallah. Wish you all the best and do not forget to pray for me. Bye-bye. Take care.